Have you ever wondered what would happen if Modulo Yuji was reborn at the very beginning with every single memory intact? A man who spent 68 years watching everyone around him age and die while he stayed exactly the same. He became the strongest sorcerer in human history, took Gojo's place as the world's deterrent, that version of Yuji, waking up as a kid in Sendai, knowing everything. What does he do differently? How many people survive this time? And what happens to Kenjaku's entire 1,000-year plan when it runs directly into someone who already read the whole script? So let's get into it. The first thing Modulo Yuji sees when he wakes up is his family, and the complicated thing about that is he already knows how every single one of their stories ends. He carries that knowledge the way he carries everything. Quietly. He's too small to change most of it. The world isn't ready for what he is yet, so he waits. And while he waits, he trains his body every single day with the specific knowledge of exactly what it needs to become. Longer runs, harder strength work, a physical foundation that the origin he can't unlock his cursed energy yet. Even with everything he remembers, that doesn't open without Sukuna's finger. That's just how his body works. So he builds everything around that moment and waits for it to hit. He watches his parents fade away, knowing it was coming both times. He spends every day he can at the hospital with his grandfather. Instead of waiting for Sukuna's finger to show up the way it did originally, Modulo Yuji tears through the school storage himself until he finds it months early. He's already eaten it and is waiting outside when Megumi shows up looking for it. Yuji then explains he already ate the finger and wants to be escorted to Tokyo Jujutsu High. Megumi doesn't move. Every single trained instinct he has is screaming wrong. Yuji tries to explain the rebirth situation. Megumi asks him to prove it, and Yuji, moving on autopilot, starts listing every student at Jujutsu High by name. And that is the mistake, because from Megumi's perspective, a complete stranger just rattled off classified personnel identities without hesitation. That isn't a friend from the future. That's the most dangerous kind of enemy. So Megumi teleports behind him and knocks him out cold. And Yuji, waking up tied up in front of Gojo shortly after, genuinely cannot be that mad about it. He would have done the same thing. Gojo tests him before hearing a single word, unties him, throws some weaker attacks. Yuji blocks them with the relaxed efficiency of someone who has been doing this for 7 decades, then counters one of Gojo's punches with a black flash that shakes the room. Gojo goes completely still, then slowly smiles, because that was not a first-year student blocking his attacks. He sits down and tells Yuji to talk, so Yuji does. All of it. The rebirth, Kenjaku's real identity, the prison realm, Shibuya, everything. He has been carrying this since childhood, and he lays every piece of it down without flinching. Gojo activates his 6 eyes and reads the room properly. The cursed energy confirms the finger. The black flash confirms the skill. The complete absence of fear or uncertainty confirms something else entirely. He decides to trust him. Not fully yet, but enough. They agree on a plan. Yuji enrolls. He keeps feeding intelligence on upcoming events, and together they start quietly dismantling Kenjaku's setup from the inside out. The detention center Modulo Yuji spends the entire month before this mission making sure he never needs Sukuna's help inside it. With Gojo's training on top of 68 years of mastery already in his body, he walks into that building, and the special grade curse inside immediately feels something wrong, because what just entered this building doesn't feel like a student. It feels like the thing that replaced Gojo as the world's deterrent, wearing a school uniform for some reason. The fight doesn't last. When the curse comes for him, Yuji fires Dismantle through contact with the surgical precision of someone who has been using this technique for decades, cuts through the strongest attack before it closes, and exercises the curse without Sukuna getting a single breath of an opening. He eats the extracted finger, finds himself standing in his inner chamber face to face with Sukuna for the first time in this lifetime. Sukuna demands to be freed. Yuji refuses. Sukuna reads something familiar in this vessel and reaches into his memories, finds the 68 years, the full power set, the ending where Yuji kills him, and Yuji, watching Sukuna process all of that, just smiles and tells him he has been waiting his entire second childhood to say this directly. There is no eventually this time, not one version of this that ends differently. Sukuna goes quiet in the specific way that means he is genuinely recalculating, which is honestly the most satisfying thing Yuji has experienced in either of his lives. The movie theater mission is just a routine assignment on paper. For Modulo Yuji, it is one of the most important nights of this second life. He follows Mahito to Junpei's house, waits outside, exercises the planted curse before it attack gets anywhere near the building. Eats Sukuna's finger Mahito left as bait. The next morning, Junpei comes clean about the offer and admits he never wanted to hurt anyone. Yuji tells him to come to Jujutsu High, explains it's the only place he'll actually be safe. Junpei agrees. On the way back, Mahito shows up, figures out his plan got completely dismantled, and attacks. Yuji holds him off long enough for Nanami to interrupt, and they retreat with Junpei intact. By the time the Goodwill event arrives, Yuji has handed Gojo a complete breakdown of the entire attack. Every curse, every coordination point, every angle Kenjaku spent months setting up. The teachers walk into that event already in position, not reacting to the assault when it comes, waiting for it. The whole coordinated attack that overwhelmed everyone in the original story gets dismantled significantly faster because 0 seconds of it land as a surprise. Kenjaku reads the reports from the event. The attack landed, but the response was too fast. Too organized, too precisely positioned for a group that shouldn't have known it was coming. Something in the board moved and he didn't move it. And for a man whose plan has not had a real variable in 1,000 years, that feeling is completely new. He starts recalculating, which means things are about to get interesting. Choso and the brothers, the reunion. And when Choso finally arrives, still guarded, still skeptical, not ready to believe any of it, Yuji greets him like a man who has been waiting a long time to see family. Because that is exactly what this is. Choso tells him to back off. Yuji explains everything anyway, their shared origin, Kenjaku's plan, and exactly how he has been using the death paintings. The fact that they are brothers in every sense that actually matters. And then it happens. Choso gets the memory, the same flash from the original timeline of a version of Yuji he never met but recognized instantly the moment it hit. Yuji tells them what he needs. Play along with Kenjaku just long enough to sabotage him from the inside at exactly the right moment. The brothers push back, say there is no way they work alongside humans after everything. Yuji doesn't argue it, just reminds them quietly that they are half human too. Long silence. Then Choso extends his hand. The brothers shake on it, and for the first time since he woke up in this second life, Yuji feels like the future is actually starting to bend the right way. Shibuya. One man against the knight Gojo gets sealed, because the prison realm trap was never about power. It was always about timing, and a setup built with surgical patience over years. Even knowing every detail of it, stopping the seal without collapsing everything else simultaneously isn't possible. Gojo goes in, Shibuya erupts, but this is nothing like the Shibuya that Modulo Yuji remembers, because the moment that barrier locks the city down, he is already moving, not reacting, moving. He has had this night mapped since childhood. Yuji moves through the transfigured humans like they are background noise. Dismantle opens and closes on them in single clean motions. He does not slow down. Then Mahito finds him. And this is the fight, the one that in the original timeline shattered Yuji more completely than anything physical ever could. Except the version of Yuji standing here right now does not look like someone who can be shattered. He looks like someone who has been waiting a long time to finish this specific conversation. He is completely, almost unnervingly calm. Every time Mahito reaches for him, the angle is already wrong. Every time Mahito tries to disengage and reset, Yuji is already closing the distance again. Mahito, who has never once in his existence lost the psychological advantage in a fight, feels it draining out of him in real time, and the look on his face in that moment is something he has genuinely never felt before. Yuji finishes it with Soul Dismantle, the technique that cuts the boundary between the body and the soul, damage that cannot be reversed. For a curse whose entire existence is built around manipulating the souls of others, there is no more fitting way to end, and that is exactly where Mahito ends. Nanami survives. Because Modulo Yuji gets there in time, Nobara survives. Because the moment that cost her in the original story never gets its opening. He was already between her and the threat before the window appeared, and for the first time in either of his lives, he walks out of Shibuya without leaving anyone behind. Gojo is still sealed. That weight is real, and he carries it the way he carries everything, quietly, without letting it stop him, but everyone who was supposed to die tonight is still breathing, and right now, that is everything. So if you want more Jujutsu Kaisen what-ifs just like this one, subscribe, we've got plenty more coming, and go check out this video next because we discovered what would have happened if Yuji had Sukuna's full power in episode 1. Trust me, you don't want to miss that one. See you in there.